So we're going to be welcoming up Brian O'Bannon, who's the Vice President of Research at ISTA. I know Brian for a long time. He's a very smart person and just like one of the nicest people that you ever want to meet, to be honest. He's got a Master's of Administrative Science degree from Johns Hopkins University and a BS in Chemical Engineering from the University of Michigan. Okay. I mean, he's a good guy though. So he's one of the ones that made it out. He's got 20 years of trade association management experience addressing the packaging industry with issues in wide-ranging areas, including a bunch of technical, but environmental, health, safety, RFID, materials, and sustainability. He also has a lot of experience within the global food and beverage packaging space. So please put your hands together for Brian.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for the kind introduction, Bill. Not surprised you took a shot at Michigan, but at least they're both in the Sweet 16, so we got that going for us. So, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and give you an update on ISTA's research activities. I'd like to start by providing a quick overview of research and how we manage that at ISTA, then talk about our priorities, current and future, and then talk about the Advocate Council research and wrap up with an update on our Educational Foundation. In case you didn't notice in the program, the next three presentations, myself and two other ones, this is all tied together and linked with the Student Educational Foundation grants. So the next two presentations are part of our Educational Foundation grant program. ISTA does research in three different areas, but managed under one umbrella. So there's some directly funded research that ISTA does directly. That's the data collection activities I've reported. If you've been to this forum before, we've collected data in various parts of the world, India, Europe, China. And so the Research Council manages that activity. And there's some other directly funded work that we do to help develop tools or research to develop those tools. The second area we do research in is the Advocate Council. They are a consortium of ISTA members that have pooled their money to do research of interest specifically to them, but is in alignment with ISTA's goals and objectives. So there's some coordination there, so there's not duplication. And many of the results from their research have been leveraged by ISTA in some of the test protocols that we've seen. In fact, the work that they did was instrumental in developing 3L. And then finally, the Educational Foundation, I had mentioned the undergraduate student grants. That is exploratory research. This is really meant as an opportunity for the students to become familiar with transit packaging and hopefully be interested in being in transport packaging as part of their career. So that's broadly how we manage research at ISTA. Now you see on this slide, ISTA has made a significant contribution and commitment to research. We've spent over 1.75 million US dollars over the last several years in directly funded research. And this sets us apart from other standards-related organizations, particularly in the packaging space, but usually standards organizations don't spend money on direct research. So the reason we do that, though, is we see that the research is fundamental. It's a building block for us to develop the tools for our members that are necessary to help our membership design better packaging so that it is optimized and resource smart. So we're really focused on getting the basic data available to leverage through these tools to help you do your jobs better. The Research Council is critical to provide oversight and direction for much of the work that we do. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank them directly. I know several of them are in the room, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate their assistance and guidance, and really we'd have a hard time making the progress we do without these people. So thanks for your efforts. So let's talk about what our current priorities are. And to do that, we have to look a little bit back to last year. I had mentioned at the forum last year that we were going to initiate this research program. We've recognized that there's a need for us to standardize our approach for taking field data and converting it to a draft test block. There's lots of ways to do that, and so we would like to get some work done to help us standardize on one approach. This is meant to be a transparency aid so that when you use a test procedure or a test block, you understand where it came from and on what data it was based. We have progressed past, we established a work group between the Standards Council and the Research Council to develop the scope of the projects for shock and for vibe. And we've awarded those contracts now to Virginia Tech for vibration and to RISE, which is the Research Institute in Sweden, for looking at shock. So the kickoffs for both of those projects is next week, and they'll take roughly 9 to 12 months depending upon how things work out. So we're excited to be able to kick this off and think it's going to be a very useful tool for our membership and also for our Standards Council as they get new data in and decide how to implement that within the test procedures. One of the things as part of this project, we'll revisit the data collection guidelines or data collection standards and the data analysis guidelines, and we'll do that so that they conform with whatever these new test approaches, standardized test approaches are. So I'm happy about that because it's a good impetus for us to revisit this. They now have been in place for 3 or 4 years, I think, maybe a little bit longer. And it's always good to go back and make sure it's still doing what we want it to do. These projects have 4 distinct phases. There's a literature search of existing methodologies. Then there's the evaluation and selection of the methodology that we'll pursue. And then a validation effort to make sure that it's doing what we want it to and providing the results that we would hope it would. And then the final step is to generate, and it's a question whether we're able to do this, but the hope is that we're able to generate process software tool that will allow us to upload data and will generate then the draft test block, whether it's for shock or vibe. So that's the goal. The joint task group you see is listed up here. Once again, I appreciate all of their work. We've met quite frequently for about 9 months to be able to generate these RFPs and do the scope and evaluate the proposals. This group will continue to be involved in the project as providing direction and guidance to the researchers as they go through the project. So once again, thank you for your commitment to this. The next group I'd like to talk about is the Research Council, or it's the Advocate Council Research. And as I mentioned before, this is a consortium of ISTA members that decided to get together and pool their funding to do research that they were interested in pursuing. It's coordinated with ISTA's mission and our other research initiatives, so there's no duplication. But this has been a terrific adjunct for our research efforts. I think to date we've spent roughly $1 million through the ISTA Advocate Research Council, so significant investment by that group. This is a list of some of the more recent projects. I don't know, anybody that attended last year would have perhaps remembered RIT's presentation on the distribution data collection project in China. That is complete, and this is, I'm going to be discussing this with the Standards Council in the next month or two. So that's another significant part of our data repository that they helped deliver. This was partially funded through the Advocate Council. In addition, we are currently doing some single parcel data analysis. We did a big project a couple years ago with single parcel and collected a huge amount of events and data for shock. And we are in essence developing a statistical tool to answer questions about probabilities of drops for different package configurations. So that's the end goal. We're currently working through the data itself right now, and but the end goal is a tool for the members to use. And then the last item is a test rig for LTL hazard. And this, we just got a report out yesterday. The initial work was done by Clemson. They did some validation work for us. Then the council decided that they wanted to do some more field testing, and there were some bugs that needed to be worked out with the data acquisition system. So ABF Freight and Smithers jointly worked to do some testing for this, and that was just reported as being completed. So we now have a validated test rig, which we'll be able to use in some of our other projects that we want to get done. So we're very excited about that and looking forward to using this in some of the project work that we have on deck. In the meeting yesterday, we got conditional approval to pursue clamp handling and Brazil and Mexico data collection. The clamp handling part is really a reflection of our recognition that clamp handling has become much more prevalent and is a much bigger part of the material handling solution that a lot of companies are implementing. And we felt the need to better characterize what those dynamics look like and reflect those then within a test and improve the current clamping test that we've got. So that's the goal for that. And so we have a task group that will begin meeting. We already have the draft RFP. It's just a question of getting it issued and starting to get some proposals in. So we're looking forward to that. The Brazil and Mexico data collection, we got authorization to develop task groups for that. And this is, like I said before, kind of the broader data collection that we're looking for our data repository. So we've got India, Europe, China. This would be another part of the world that we'd like to collect some data. The purpose of this is really to see how different or similar it is to the existing data we already have. This then is an indication of whether we need to do more targeted research to get better defined profiles for that particular region, or if our existing profiles are sufficient. So that's in essence what we're trying to accomplish with that. There are several other projects topics that were identified. These will require significantly more discussion before we finish our prioritization work and decide which one or ones to pursue and in what order. But dynamic compression, this is where the test rig would come in very handy. Ocean freight data collection, that's always one of our highest questions from members. Seems like people are always curious about what happens in the ocean. E-commerce mile mapping, and then temperature and humidity profiles for specific regions or routes. So all of those need a lot more work in defining what those would be, but these are areas that we're going to be sifting through to get on deck for the next cycle of research. This last area I want to talk about is the Educational Foundation. And some of you may already be familiar with it, so, but it doesn't hurt to remind people that we have one. Number one, it's a charitable organization. It's a 501c3, and its focus really is on fostering educational growth in the transport packaging space. So very worthwhile endeavor. It's been in existence for a long time, but in the last several years, we've made a concerted effort to reinvigorate it. What's the purpose of this? Well, I said it was to foster educational growth in the transport packaging space, but what does that really mean? What we want to do is use this foundation to create a pipeline of talent into the industry. And so we've got some programs in place to help us do that. We want to encourage and develop the next generation of packaging leaders in transport packaging. So how do we do that? There's 3 different program areas. Research grants, I've mentioned that a little bit. I'll circle back to that in a minute. Where we established this in, I think the first forum presentation was in 2023. So this will be the 3rd year we're doing this. And it really is a grant program to packaging schools for undergraduates to do some work. And one of the one of the benefits really is them having the ability to come to the forum and do the presentation. Hopefully you've seen them in the networking hub and had an opportunity to talk with them. They'll be there tonight with their presentation boards. And I would encourage you, if you didn't attend the Educational Foundation dinner last night, fundraiser last night, to consider doing so next year. It's a very easy thing to do. It's just one more thing on the registration to check. And we would love to have your support. And I would also ask you to consider having your company sponsor the foundation, because we do terrific work and really are trying and invested to build that next generation of packaging leaders in this space. The next area is the awards area. And for those of you that have attended the forum before, you've seen us award the R. David Labutte Award for education in the transport packaging space. It's recognizing significant contributions in that area. And we'll continue to do that. The presentation of that award is tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow midday, I believe. And, but I'm also excited to recognize that our board of directors and the foundation board have both agreed to expand our award system to recognize contributions throughout the ISTA community by instituting the Bernard McGarvey Award. That is for the temperature side of the industry. Emerging Leaders Award and the Outstanding Student Award. And Nora will talk about those tomorrow as part of the foundation presentation that she has. And then the final area is scholarships. This is underfunded at this point, and that's one of the reasons that we encourage engagement and involvement so that we can build that out and offer scholarships to worthwhile researchers, and perhaps even eventually get to the point where we're sponsoring chairs or sponsoring particular graduate students for doing work in the transport packaging area. These are the 3 projects that the undergraduates are presenting this year. The Virginia Tech, I'll start with that at the bottom. They're currently doing their presentation next door at TempPack, looking at the impact of relative humidity on thermal efficiency of the fiber-based insulated shipping containers. The next 2 presentations will be by both Clemson and RIT, flexible mailer distribution testing and measuring vibration levels of electric vehicles. So it's interesting work. It's something that is of value to both the students as well as ISTA, and we're excited that we're able to do this because I think it's a great opportunity. And I have to say I'm uniformly impressed with the student presenters and the researchers. They just do an excellent job, and they're really switched on and great people to know. We are accepting proposals now. We'll hopefully be able to make some decisions in April before semester ends for people so that they're able to kind of organize this for the fall. But that's the idea. And with that then, I'd just like to point out 2 things. We can't do the research without your engagement and involvement. So if you have data, that's fine. Happy to talk with you about how we could use it. If you want to participate in some of the research activities or on one of the councils, please let me know. In addition, we are focused really on this research to develop tools for our membership to make your lives better and to make the package design systems more optimized and to minimize damage. So that's really our focus. So thank you for your time. I'll take some questions and then we'll introduce the next two speakers.
Any questions? I mean, I, for one, am really excited about the awards. I think there are other associations that give out awards kind of like candy. We've been kind of holding them close to our vest, but now that we're starting, recognizing people for contributions, I think is really a cool thing and something that would be, I think, a real feather in a cap of, someone's career. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. This is something we've talked about for several years, and I think it's great for the community that we're able to start recognizing a broader part of that, right?
Yeah.